Welcome back to the Barbarian Show, folks. And we got a Barbarian for you this week. I am going to skip the pleasure tease and jump right into it with my homeboy, Spencer Kirksey. You guys know this guy from all over the internet. Most of you probably know him and don't know him. Nomadic Media, the Potty Mouth Podcast, a coffee company, Invicta. Am I saying that right, Spencer?
You got it. You nailed it.
Invicta Coffee, and then all sorts of most of your guys' following is the people that you follow. Excuse me. He probably takes photos and does media work for them nowadays as well. My friend Spencer Kirksey. It's been a long time coming, dude. We were just kind of shooting the shit before we hit record here, and we've followed each other and known of each other for years, like 2018 or something. It's been a journey, man.
Yeah. We talked about it was the quote unquote, Hunter Ambassador cringe days.
yeah. I'm almost embarrassed to admit that.
Dude, same, man. I think I went through my Instagram like delete. But hey, we all start somewhere, right?
Exactly. And dude, it's been a cool journey. It's been fun to watch you develop and grow and kind of just come into who you are. For our audience, this guy's got an incredible story, which I'm going to let him tell. But I mean, it goes from being a teacher to a podcaster to a business owner to, I mean, just everything under the sun. An Instagram model, like he's done a little bit of it all.
Oh shit! I forgot about that. Oh shit! All this therapy you've undone. I thought I forgot about all that. Thanks. Before we get into it, I really do appreciate Jonathan for letting me come on and shoot the shit with you. But man, where to start? Jonathan, you were saying, we started way back where it was kind of the wild, wild west of Instagram, where, it was probably 9,000 different algorithms ago. Everyone was trying to make it. Everyone was trying to, get paid or be, be linked to some notable companies and all that good stuff. Now it's a completely different ballgame. Making us sound super old, but it really, really was. It truly felt like the wild, wild west compared to what it is now. Man, I grew up in the outdoors, and so I was actually a late bloomer when it came to hunting. I got in the game pretty late, compared to a lot of other people. But I started shooting my bow, started taking photos of myself, with my iPhone at the time. And I was actually during this period when I kind of, got introduced to hunting and bow hunting and started kind of like messing around with photography again at a very, very amateur level with my cell phone. I was a teacher. I was a PE teacher, athletic director. I have like multiple degrees in the field of education. Fast forward to doing what I'm doing now, which is owning my own business, and essentially it's a small creative agency is pretty wild, pretty cool at the same time. If I think it's funny because I'm a person who has multiple degrees in the field of education, thought I was going to be a teacher till the day I died. And then, COVID came in and ripped the rug out of a lot of people's, feet right under from them. And I just kind of pivoted into a completely different direction. If you rewind like way, way, way back when I think I was in like elementary, middle school, I remember I did like a photography project. And I'm talking like manual camera where like you go get the film developed, you're in a dark room, like the whole thing. And we had a family friend who helped me out with that. And she's like, hey, like you have like a pretty good eye. But like, again, me being like a middle schooler, I'm like, cool. I'm going to go play baseball. I don't know what you're talking about. And I didn't even take photography in high school or anything like that. And again, you fast forward to now and, it's like, that's literally how I pay bills now. It's with a camera in my hand, among other things, but that's a big part of, my income and what I do now on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And I think it's cool too, right? It's funny because my story is similar to yours and getting started with the photography stuff. I always liked photography. I was a big nerd when it comes to like landscape shit and like being out in the mountains and just being able to try to capture a picture of how you could see it with your eye. But like you, I was busy with sports or music or other shit, trying to be a DJ at one point in time. Sadly, I hate to admit it, but
What was your name?
just
What was the DJ name? I want to
I
know.
can't. Ambitions. All right, that's it though. We're getting out of that. But
Oh man, there's more to that story. There's
I
definitely more
know.
there.
Yes, there is. But I started, back as a kid with a camera in my hand, and same thing. Like my mom always used to tell me, like, man, you have an eye for this. And I was like, yeah, I like it, but I couldn't afford a Canon Rebel back then, like back in to date us, the 35 millimeter days where you had to.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, Mom, if you could get me that Costco Fujifilm, like we're in business, like that was the game back then. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny you say that too, because I forgot, like, when we started back to, not to date us, but dude, when we started taking pictures on Instagram with phones and old cameras and shit like that, it was like videos didn't even exist. Like there was no
Yeah, dude.
short form video work. That wasn't it. Like you said, it was really the Wild West back then. And what a change of pace, man.
Oh man, it's so gnarly. Just to follow up on that, do you remember IGTV?
Yes.
That was
Yes.
like the first like intro into, hey, we're gonna like start incorporating video to
Yeah.
this platform, which was Instagram, right? And I remember everything was horizontal, everything was landscape, right? Now, like you literally can't post that. It has to be vertical, Like I try to, because I hate it, because I feel like you lose so much in your shot when you have to crop in. And so sometimes if I've got like a cool little reel that I put together that I really don't want to crop for vertical, I will do that little icon like, hey, turn your phone, fuckface, and the actual clip will rotate, and so you have to watch the phone like this as if you were like watching a YouTube video. Because again, like you lose so much of that story and just all the different elements in a video.
Yeah, dude, and it's crazy. Like you said, you made that comment like 7,000 algorithms ago. Like
Yeah.
it's almost too much.
Yeah, man, it's pretty gnarly, and for people who don't know, so I started this company called Nomadic Media, and so the three main things we focus on are content creation, social media management, and email marketing, right? So you talk about the algorithms. I have to keep up with all that shit, and it is so overwhelming. And one day you've just been told, okay, this is the way things have to be. And then literally a month later, they're like, just kidding. It can't be like this. It has to be this way. It feels like you're always, this carrot is always getting dangled in front of you. And they're always moving, the goalposts to speak, so to say. It's so annoying. And I don't understand it. And, I know like Instagram's a business, Meta's a business. I understand that. Like they've got to figure out ways to make money as well. Totally understand that. But man, they make it so hard for you to grow. They make it so hard for you to reach people. And it's very, very, very clear at this point in my eyes, and I'm sure in your eyes as well. Like anything right leaning, anything outdoors, hunting, fishing, firearms. I mean, anything that just remotely goes in that direction, just like done.
Yeah.
Like you just get shoved in a bag, and all you can hear is like the mumbles, through the duct tape that they threw over your mouth. That's basically all you can see and hear these days. If that's the type of content or that's your brand that you're promoting, it's so sad, man. It really is. And there's nothing else out there to like counter it. You know what I mean? I remember there's like, I think there was Go Wild, which was an app that
Yeah.
was obviously like strictly for outdoorsmen, but again, you never get the reach out of that. And brands, again, if you're somebody who's an influencer, or maybe you're a content creator and you're trying to get paid, with these brand deals, and you're like, oh well, I've got 18,000 followers on Go Wild. People are like, on what? You're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? All they care about is the big hitters, the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube, the TikTok. Like that's all they care about. And it's so sad because all those apps, I would say YouTube is a little more, not much, but a little more lenient with that type of content. They'll entertain it a little bit more or better than the other platforms, but like TikTok, dude, you show a gun, for the most part, done. And obviously with the other ones too, it may not be removed, but it's pretty obvious when your content's getting suppressed.
Yeah, and it's funny because I hate to be like, you can't really lean on the term shadow banned anymore because they don't do
No,
that. They just flat out turn your traffic off. It's not that
yeah,
you're
yeah,
shadow
yeah,
banned, they just don't generate
yeah,
anybody to your direction. And
yeah,
here's the other thing I've noticed: it feels like, because, like you, I run multiple accounts as well and stuff like that. But I realize, like, it seems like if they tag one of your accounts, they know that you alternate different things. And it's
you
almost to
think
me
so?
like, I really wonder, man, because I've been struggling with, like, I'll have my photography page, and it's stupid. My portfolio page is literally just that. I'm not advertising. This is my work, like, essentially, with really short, really cliche. And it's like, I'll get them to clear whatever it is, and then all of a sudden they flag my knife pictures next. And I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
it's a knife. Like, and I'll
Yeah.
challenge it, and it won't remove the whatever that warning is. You can't be shown to. And like, I've been
Yeah.
fighting with this for like the last 3-4 weeks now on this one, to the point where I'm like, am I gonna have to just delete this portfolio page? And like,
Uh,
and then I have another one, like with my main one. It's like every now and then it will go, but I don't know, man. It just feels like, because it knows you alternate between these, or that you're linked in some way or somehow. It's like,
yeah,
boop,
probably. Yeah.
because
I'm sure there's a way for them to recognize that. I mean, the technology they have is, far beyond my comprehension, but, I'm sure, like, if you're a business admin on Facebook, because again, like, to be a social media manager, to at least be able to access things, actually third party apps and natively, like, you have to have a Facebook profile and you have to be assigned as an administrator or a manager of some sort to these pages. And so it's like, I'm guessing it's probably not that hard for them to find a paper trail. They're like, oh, Spencer, you're linked to all these other accounts. Okay, shut all these doors. I
dude, it
mean,
wouldn't surprise
it's
me.
a it's a good conspiracy. It's a good conspiracy. I'd entertain it.
Yeah,
I think there's probably something there because it
I
is, it
just
is, it is pretty brutal.
well, it's also like, how often do they really show? There's so much different content now that it's like they just. What I've noticed is they're using AI so much now that you're not even getting the opportunity for somebody to review it. It's literally like the AI flags your account, and then you click review, and then an AI process goes through a checklist, and you don't meet that. So it says, nope, you're still not good. And you have to, if you want to get your shit turned back on now, you have to, like, find a contact at Facebook somehow, or go
Yeah,
through this egregious process to, like,
yeah,
talk to somebody to recover your account, or to get it to where they'll turn you
yeah,
back on. And dude, I'll be honest with you, as much as I like looking at photos and I enjoy sharing my work, I mean, who doesn't like sharing what they've been doing? And it's really cool to be creative and show that, but I hate it. Like,
yeah,
I absolutely, if it wasn't for some of the shit that I do, I would have nothing to do with this anymore. Like, I want to go away,
yeah. No,
like,
totally. I totally get it. No, it's super frustrating, and I truly think it's very counterintuitive on their part to have such tight restraints on certain accounts. Again, I think what you just said resonates with a lot of people who are like, dude, I'm done trying to play the game because you keep moving the goalposts. I'm over it, and I'm sure they've lost a lot of customers out of that. A lot of users because people are again just. I'm just like, I'm done, dude. I'm over it. Like, there's no reason for me to be here anymore. You know what I mean? And they go do, maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's something else. So I wouldn't doubt it, man.
yeah, well, it's just like, what could I do more with my time? It's like, that's the thing. And you
Yeah.
realize you're getting sucked in, you're spending all this time, you're chasing
Oh
the
yeah.
rabbit around on all this shit. Like,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
there's things about it I enjoy, don't get me wrong. It's just like, the older I get, the less I care. Like, I don't
For sure.
need the attention. I don't need somebody I don't know to tell me good job on my photo anymore. It's like, I enjoy my work finally.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming to
Yeah.
that age where it's like, yeah, I mean, like, I appreciate the criticisms and the feedback. Like, it's all great. That doesn't bother me either. But I also don't need you to know every 10 minutes of my life to
Yeah.
where you think you assume something. It's just, as much as it's real, it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I mean, a lot of this is is a highlight reel. People can pretend that, like, oh, no, I'm showing all the good and all the bad and all this and that. Come on, let's be honest with each other. It's a highlight reel,
I mean,
and a lot of people, I would say, share way too much.
way too much, dude. It's like, okay, you want to share all that, so why don't you talk about how you're neglecting your family to run around the mountain with the camera and take photos for
Yeah,
14 hours a week, and your relationship with your kids no longer exists? Or like,
yeah, man.
if you want to keep it real, why don't you tell the whole side of the story that they're not seeing? That your wife doesn't even like you anymore because you're always on this thing and you're trying to talk to these
Yeah,
people. Like, there's a
yeah.
lot more to it that people don't
Oh
get.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like influencer couples, right? So all of they both have massive followings. Dude, there's so many of them who end up divorced or broken up or whatever because of that exact same thing. They're all just chasing this carrot and just neglecting each other and other things in their life, and they're just so captivated, just buried their face in these phones and reaching for the next like, the next comment, the next DM, the whatever it is, right? This instant gratification. And don't get me wrong, like, I've battled with it early on. I'm sure a lot of people have, but I've had the wherewithal where I'm like, dude, this is not real. Like my personal nomadic, essentially it's my, my business page. I try to treat it exactly that is my business. I'm going to put out stuff that I've done for myself or for other clients. And if another brand sees that and likes it and wants to work with me, awesome. It served its purpose. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at social media these days. It's just like,
Yeah,
hey, hopefully another brand sees this. That'd be cool. I get some more
that's
work out of it. But after that, like that's it. I post things now knowing it's not going to get any wheels. You know what I mean? No legs. Not going to do anything. It'll probably get like 40 likes and like maybe 1,000 views. That's it. I understand going into it. And so knowing that it's not, I already have it in my mind. It's not going to do anything. I'm just posting it because I want to post it. I think it's a cool video that I did, and then and hopefully a brand sees it. That's it.
yeah. So speaking of brands, let's talk about getting into that, right? Because we've covered. We're shooting the shit about some. For those listening, like, hey, take notes. Like, you could save yourself a hell of a headache, and if you really listen back to the last 15 minutes and just kind of, interpret what we were saying. There was a lot in there, but there's a lot of actual helpful shit in there too. But let's talk about what it was like building a brand now versus then, right? So when you started, it was the Wild West, like we talked
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
right? So what was that like? And then contrast that to now, whereas
yeah,
you do it more professionally versus trying to be a
yeah.
character, right?
Well, yeah. So I think back in the Wild Wild West days, it was very like even the big names. Everyone was kind of just going for free product.
Yes.
Like get linked to a big name company, get free product. It's bragging rights. It's this, that, the other. Now, man, I find it very hard. Again, I'm on both sides of the fence now, where maybe I'm the person on the other side of the account somebody's reaching out to, looking for some kind of a partnership. And then again, I'm cold calling brands who I feel like I can be of service to as well. There's a blend there. I'd say now it's like if you want quality content on a regular basis, you have to pay for it now. But back in the day, that wasn't the case. Like unless you were like a Hannah Barron or like just a huge face that Hannah Barron has, and she is. I want to say I could be misspeaking. She has, and she's probably the only one I know of personally, but every major platform, she has over 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty fucking insane, dude. So she can call her shots however she wants to call them. You know what I mean? And she was a rising, if you want to say, a rising star very very early on because she was this little cute little bitty thing that did crazy shit. She
Yeah.
walked the walk and talked the talk, and brands understood that. But unless you were somebody like that, I mean, the best you were looking at was free product, and you were an ambassador. Dude, I remember those days where like, oh, I'm an ambassador for XYZ. No, I look at them like, dude, that's so cringe. Who gives a shit, dude? You know?
Yeah. Nope.
Um, yeah, but now like building a brand is just like, really dialing in the portfolio. Early on, when I was like, okay, like nomadic media is going to be my deal. Like that's going to be the roof I'm going to throw over my head. It was really only based around content. Now I've expanded, right? So like I actually have employees now. I have people who I can outsource things to, and get and essentially just broaden the horizon there, where I can catch more things in a bigger net. And so, I'm anywhere from email marketing. I do it myself. I also have people who do it for me. I do social media management. I also have somebody who does social media for me. But all my camera work, it's all me. But I just noticed early on that like, hey, there's a lot of people like me. Like I've got some skill, but like there's some really, really talented motherfuckers out there. But that's all they do. All they do is camera work, which there's nothing wrong with. But I realized early, I was like, yeah, I realized early, like, hey, like, I need to, in order for me to separate myself, I need to keep things manageable, but also expand and be able to provide more general services in the marketing industry.
Yeah. Well, you've done a great job, dude. Like I said, it's been cool to see where you've come from. It's a weird transition too, right? Because talk about this a little bit. You went from back then, you would need to also additionally to provide photos, you would need to be a character. So
Yeah.
if you were going to be successful, right, you had to, I hate the word, become an influencer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you had to put on a persona and it's to this day, it's still weird to me to talk in front of my phone. I don't know why, but it's still super, super weird. But I can do it. Obviously I do, but like, it's still like so weird and cringe to me to be like, hey,
Yeah.
what's going on, folks? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, dude. I hate it. I hate it.
I hate
Yeah.
it.
And that's why I stopped doing that, dude. That's why it's because like people would hire me to do like to be the face of a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I can do stuff on my own with my phone very easily if I'm by myself. Um, but when there's like a crew around and then the camera's pointed at me, bro, dude, I create a speech impediment, bro. Like I can't talk, I can't think, I can't do anything, dude. I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at being a character. And on the other side of that coin, I truly understand and appreciate people who can do that, though, who can turn it on for the camera. I think it is a skill, and I think it's something you can learn, but I also think it's something like that's in you as well. Like I know a few people who, man, I come around with a camera and they're like, lights, camera, action, let's roll. And it's amazing. It's entertainment. They're great. They're smooth. They're quick. It's all those things where I'm like, I tried to do that. I'm like, oh man, I suck at this, dude. I'm really bad. Like, it was like take after take after take after take, and I'm like, oh my god, like I want to blow my brains out. I can't imagine what they're feeling like right now. Like this is terrible. So like I learned early on that about myself, where it's like, yeah, I can do stuff when it's by myself and it's my phone, and I can, I'm not going to get super frustrated because I feel like I'm wasting somebody else's time. If it's just me and myself and it's different. But yeah, really realized early on, like, man, I start to freeze up. I start to think about what other people are thinking about while I'm trying to talk, and like my focus just goes out the window, and I have a really hard time with that. So I started to realize I'm way better behind the camera than in front of it.
Yeah, well, it's funny too because people don't realize like you. I know it's like you think you get more attention than you really do, but on the flip side of that, people really attach either a liking or a hating to you based off of that as well that will follow you. It is a very weird, very,
Mm-hmm.
very weird niche where one person that maybe has talked to you 4 or 5 times can form an opinion of you and then spread this like a virus and tell
Yeah.
people, and it don't matter, dude. They can pull a social grenade and just chuck it your direction. True, not true, it doesn't matter. Factual and completely fictional. It's just like whatever they want to make up, and that will stick. And then you're talking about you want to talk about like social anxiety and shit like that. Then you have like company owners that have negative opinions of you because they
Yeah.
heard from somebody that they've talked to on the internet that you're
Yeah.
this kind of person, or you said or did this about them behind closed doors. And it's like,
Hmm.
where are we where are we getting to now that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a
Yeah, yeah, for
strange
sure.
interaction, man. But I want you to
Yeah.
talk about overcoming hate, man, just because I mean, I know you've got a really successful following, but that I just know you, and I know, and not in a bad way, but I just know because I came up at the same time of you.
Hmm.
You have to wade through a lot of shit, man,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and endure a bunch of criticisms, a bunch of negative talk in the background.
Hmm.
How can somebody do that? You know, this is the Barbarian show, and we're trying to provide people value. So it's like,
Hmm.
how can somebody now? What would you say to somebody now and help them like build something? I don't need all your trade secrets by no means, but how could someone
Hmm.
get through that and cut through the bullshit?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. I'll answer it this way. So, like adversity, adversity. Um, I've faced a lot of it in my time from a personal standpoint and a business standpoint. Um, and I realize if I zoom out and I really think about it, I think something about my mindset with, we'll say, failure, or an obstacle is that, and my wife will, she'll back this up. I will always find a way, and it's not like a tough guy like David Goggins kind of thing. It's just like I will bounce back very easily. I will pivot very easily. So something for the listeners is like, don't dwell. And if something falls apart on you, don't sit there, woe is me, hit the bottle, stop working out, just like let your whole routine go out the window, pivot, find something else. Like this one thing, your whole world does not revolve around this one thing that failed, and just bounce and just pivot, go, next one, go, next one, go. And that's something early on I learned in business too. It's like nothing lasts forever. I've had really, really what I thought solid relationships with brands, and shit went south for whatever reason, right? Could have been
Yeah,
something on me, could have been on something on their end, in the marketing world, when things aren't going great, marketing is always the first thing to get axed. And so I realized, you could take it personally, or she'll, hey, it's fucking business. Let's roll. Next one, go. And I've had to do that many times in this business that I run, where I think everything's copacetic, and we're on easy street, and then something falls, and I will give myself credit to that mindset where it's I will always find a way to get out of it.
yeah,
Always, it'll never be, well, this is my story, this is it, this is how it all ends. I will never have that mindset. And again, it's not like I'm not trying to boast about that, but I've just noticed that in my mindset that's I'll never let that failure just consume everything. I'll move on to the next one.
yeah. No, that's incredible perspective, dude. And it's I love how you said it. I look at failure as feedback now.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
like that's what it is. It's instantaneous feedback. It's actually your most direct feedback that you could get from someone or something is to fail.
Hmm.
Like, because as soon as you do that, okay, adjust, correct course, make these changes. Don't make. It's just all about learning. And I heard something. I'm probably going to murder this, but our mutual friend Joey had said to me when I
Yeah.
interviewed him, and it was something about like that education is the cost of success, and it's like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? There's something to those
Hmm.
alongs. But what he was stating by that is that like failure is education, and education is the
Absolutely.
cost of success. So you have to fail to gain the knowledge to succeed, essentially, right? And
A
that
hundred
has
percent.
really stuck with me ever since he said that to me. Because
Yeah.
I mean, just what a thought! Like, it's absolutely accurate. In all the things I could think back to where I've screwed up, or somebody screwed me over, or wish wash, whatever it is, it's like at the end of the day, I learned something from it. And like you're saying, that's an incredible insight. Like you have to let go. Dwelling on it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't hurt anybody but you. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, the company that you're hung up on right now, thinking about, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about that person, they've already moved on from thinking about you. Like it's done and over. They might mother F you. They might say, don't work with that guy, but they don't think about you. I promise you, you are not that important in the world of
Yeah.
business. None of us are. And it's an incredible thing. So how could a guy like, how does somebody become more resourceful now, right? Because it's not, I hate seeing this, and this is what makes me feel old, is now I feel like the guy that I watch content and it takes me all of the first zero point 0.5 seconds of a video or even scrolling 3 words into somebody's caption to see if they're trying to sell me or if they're trying to tell a story or what are you
Yeah.
trying to, who are you working for? Like, why are you doing that, bro? Just, and it's funny
Yeah.
to me. Like,
Yeah.
I saw somebody do that with a cooler thing last night, and I respect this person's platform. They're very well known. It's not nothing against them personally, but I saw something and they're talking about this cooler, and it's an affordable option. But at the very end, use code so and so for save some money. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
bro, really? It's an affordable
Yeah.
option, you know?
That you're getting a kickback off of.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, dude. I want you to talk a little bit about you nailed something that I think is really valuable, man, especially for barbarians, pivoting. Like, there is a time when you've got to move. It's hop 2 steps left and sprint, right? Or take
Yeah.
2 steps back, even unfortunately,
Yeah.
sometimes, and then step right and sprint. Like, so talk about that a little bit because, I mean, dude, your resume is impressive when it comes to not letting running into what would be most people's hard gate to exit and make it a comma and then. That's one of my favorite things to say. It's like rather than become a period, you've turned it into a comma. So talk about what that's been like over the years, dude.
Oh man. I'll say this, your biggest strength, well, I'll say this for myself. My biggest strength is networking. I think there's a huge, huge plus side to networking, um, and being able to just expand that network as much as you possibly can. Uh, do good work. Don't be a dick, and just again get as many contacts as you possibly can. You never know where that contact might take you one day, even if it's not going to take you to that place right now. It could in the future. It could be in a week, a month, a year, 3 years, whatever it is. Um, Always look to expand that network. So I've worked with, multi-million dollar brands, and I've worked with brands that are like, hey, dude, all we got is $500. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've worked with all of them, all across the spectrum. And I try to pride myself on, again, like I said, don't be a dick, do good work, be on time, and just strengthen those bridges and those relationships with as many people as you possibly can, because you never ever know, where those doors may lead you at some point in time.
Yeah. That's a really good insight too. Cause I mean, it's like, it's always the people you least expect as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
in all the different places I've seen you online, excuse me, and I've crossed paths with you here and there, and we've had conversations before briefly just about random shit, and even bought each other's old used gear through other people for camera stuff. Like that's just the way
Yeah.
that it goes as networking, right? It's funny because it's like in a full circle way, like here we are recording a podcast again because of a mutual network, a person that we were talking
Yeah.
about, and like, hey,
Exactly.
what do you think about this? I think that would be cool. What do you think about this? You brought Joey to me. I got to tell a Marine Corps veteran's story, and the guy's an incredible dude trying to help
He
other
is.
veterans do stuff, and you're doing some incredible work to help him tell that story or get that in front of people. And it's like, it's just crazy to see, like you're saying, your network is really your net worth at the end of all of
It
this.
really is. No, that's a good little saying right there, because it really, really is, man. And I think uh, a lot of people struggle with that. And I don't, man. I will meet somebody and I'll figure out what they do, if there's a way, maybe not right now, but if there's a way in the future that he and I can, or she and I, or they, whatever the brand is, but we can work together at some point in time. Like I always try to keep those connections fresh for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and dude, it's cool because you do some work for some pretty big companies now, and some really cool companies with some
Yeah.
hitters, dude. Some
Yeah.
hitters. Um,
Yeah. It's been great, dude. Very, very
yeah,
blessed to be able to do the things I do, and work with the brands that I work with. But, and again, going back to what I said, nothing lasts forever. You know what I mean?
yes,
Nothing lasts forever. And so I think there's a great saying that I love, and of course I'm going to butcher it right now, but essentially it's like being comfort, like or being comfortable. Was it like comfort kills or whatever? Something along those lines,
yeah,
right? Like being comfortable and being complacent. There it is. Complacency kills, I believe, is the
yeah,
saying. And I've been burned by myself with that mindset before, where again failure. Right? I learned a lot when I got complacent, and then shit went south, and zoomed out, and I was like, okay, I I fucked up. I failed. I no longer am a part of this brand or company or account or whatever it is. Okay, what did I do wrong there? What could I
yes,
do better next round? And again, it goes back to that thing like learning from failure. It's a huge part of growth. It really is. You can't have rainbows and flowers all the time. It can't be amazing. It can't be 100 all the time. Like you're going to take some bumps and bruises, but as long as you can learn from those things and push on and again just keep climbing the ladder. It doesn't have to be fast, right? But if you just keep moving forward inch by inch, step by step, it you don't consider it failure because you're learning from it.
yeah. You're just climbing the proverbial mountain, essentially, right? It's just one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
just trudging along.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's it like for like what's your days look like these days? Because now you said like you said you've built a business. Talk a little bit
Hmm.
about like let's give our users some information. How could somebody start a media company? Like what
Yeah. So
how do you go from let me clarify that so that it's a
yeah.
little bit easier. Like how do we go from um, what do you call that? Like how do you go from dabbling in it to like a
Yeah.
weekend gig to like okay this is
Yeah.
now
For
my
sure.
umbrella.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it goes back to like you're gonna have to like create a solid portfolio. Let's say if you're somebody, we'll take it from the lens of someone like myself, right, where you're doing a lot of camera work, or maybe a social media management or whatever it is, right? And so building that solid portfolio, getting a solid website together so that you can drive people to, right? It looks really, really good if you reach out to a brand, keep it short and sweet. Hey, I would love to work with you. These are some of the things that are my strengths. These are some of the brands I've worked with. Here's a portfolio or a website that, when you get a free moment to take a look at. And if you'd like to move forward, I would love to chat. Here's my email, my number, whatever, right? I think that would be a good little cadence to get into. But again, having a solid portfolio of brands you've worked with, done work with, again at whatever level, camera level, social media level, some kind of marketing level, I think goes really really far, and that'd be a good way to step into the game. And I I guess I did this early on, and I don't necessarily. I guess I'll eat my words here a little bit, but I think it does depend on skill level. But if you're somebody who you feel like you could be comfortable with approaching a brand, be like, hey, I'd like to do a free shoot for you, knowing that you do some grade A work. And again, it's not like a huge portfolio that you make for them. It's a couple images here. Maybe it's a video for them, some short form video, and you make this for them. It doesn't cost them a dime, and in the back of the head that they could truly really use your services. I think that would be a good way to kind of start building that portfolio as well. Maybe you don't land that job, right? Maybe that doesn't work out, but now you've got that piece of content or those pieces of content that you can then now add to a portfolio because it's got XYZ brand labeled on it. I think that's also a play for some people who are just trying to get into it, want to work with some big brands. big brands don't necessarily trust you yet because you're pretty green.
Yeah.
Is doing a free shoot for them is not the worst idea in the world. But really, you can't approach a company without any prior work, right? Like you've got to have something that you can hang your hat on, and so that having that strong portfolio, strong website, again, to like bring people to show all the amazing things that you do.
Yeah, I'd also say I'd like to add, if you don't mind, but like don't be afraid to give without expectation, right?
Yeah,
Like don't
yeah,
expect a response when you do it. Don't do it thinking in your mind you have some preconceived idea of what they're gonna think. I think a lot of people get lost. They get lost in like realizing like, oh, my work's this, especially like you're your own biggest fan a lot of the time, right? Or people, your friends, sometimes your friends before you're successful. This conversation changes after you see some success, but before you are successful with brands, your friends like hype you up on your shit work. They just do all your garbage work. They're like, oh, dude, it's great. But then when you start to get attention, when you get attention and you start to do well for yourself, all of a sudden your work's not good enough. And don't expect the same support. That's all I'm gonna say. But
oh, for sure.
it's yeah, it's interesting to me. Like, what are your thoughts on like how do you traverse like free work versus paid work now, right? Because I think what a lot of people forget is there's a lot of I don't even want to call them amateur photographers, but there's a lot of freelance individuals out there that are capable of taking decent, usable imagery for these companies that will work for free product, which is now, back then that was like the primo. Like if you got
Yeah,
a free hoodie or a freaking
yeah.
$500 gift certificate.
Fuck, man, the shit we would do for like the dumbest stuff ever, man. Like, oh, like a free workout or a free hoodie or like a free hat or like whatever it is, and you'd like bend over backwards for these brands, dude. I look back at those days, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, so wild.
Dude, I know, but isn't it crazy to think where we're at now where like you're competing against guys at your level. Let's just go to your level. You do this for a
Mhm.
living,
Sure.
and you got these kids that are so asinine to think like, oh, okay, like these companies are still. This is what gets me is these companies that still try to, hey, what do you think about 20% off of our website? Like we're going for. It's like
Yeah.
you realize that you used like four of my photos, not knowing they were my photos over the last 6
Yeah.
months in your brand
Yeah.
scheme. Like, no
Yeah.
offense, not to be an asshole, but no, I don't want a 20%
Yeah.
discount. And quite frankly,
Dude, that's like, yeah.
I don't
That's
want
like
your
my biggest pet
camo.
peeve, bro. Yeah, dude. That's my biggest pet peeve. And there's brands recently within a year's span where again, like I'm not the greatest in the
Yeah,
world, but I've
right.
got talent and I've worked with some great brands. I don't at this point in my life, I'm not doing anything for free. And there has been some notable brands in the outdoor industry that have tried to pull that card, and I just go,
Yeah,
hey, go fuck yourself, dude. There's no
yeah.
way. There's no way. You can go sing that song to somebody else, dude. There's no way, dude. I don't care who's the head of your company or how many followers you have. I do not care. I do not
Yeah.
care. I really don't. And it's again for listeners, like don't get lost in the sauce, dude. Like stick to your guns, know your worth, and don't think because again, like the shout outs and stuff, like oh we'll give you credit. No shit, you're gonna give me credit, but like that's not gonna go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like oh I get like 2 follows from that, sweet dude. Like I don't care. That shit that boat sailed such a long time ago, dude. It's that's not the shout out thing. It doesn't carry water like it used to.
No.
So for them to continue to try to like, dangle that carrot in front of you is like, bro, go fuck yourself, dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're gonna share it. You're gonna have, you know, 25,000 people view it on your end, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
see two
and which is going
followers.
to make you money. Like my video or my content or whatever it is, that's going to make you money. But then I get everybody like, oh, you'll give me a camo jacket.
Yeah,
Okay, Cool.
No thanks.
Cool. Sick, dude.
Can I send it back
Appreciate
to
that,
you
bro.
and then you send me a check?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd much rather actually get paid for this. This would be great. Yeah. Actually, that's funny. Dude, I'm going to shout him out. Miller Lite, dude. Miller Lite took a photo of mine. All right. And they did the same thing. Miller Lite, bro. Like, we're talking what? I don't want to say $1 billion, but it very well could be $1 billion company. Took one of my photos. I said, hey, just so you know, like, this is what I do for a living. I actually have more photos that are similar to this. Happy to put together a package for you guys, and we can figure out, a price for you guys that makes worth. Again, almost $1 billion company, right? Dude, they leave me on red and just remove the photo that they stripped. Dude, Miller Lite did that, bro. Yeah.
They removed the photo?
They removed the photo that they had taken from me, didn't respond to me in a very polite way. I could have raised some hell, dude.
Yeah.
But I played it cool because I'm like, hey, it's Miller Lite, big budget, big company. Happy to put together a package for you guys, and we can come up with a deal. That's all I said. I didn't cuss them out. I said, hey, fuck you, take that down. Didn't go anywhere near that direction. All they did, they left me on red, saw my message, deleted the photo, and that was it. I was like, tight.
Yeah. See if I drink.
There's some other companies that have done that too. Kelty, the backpack company, they did the same thing. Another huge brand.
Does that surprise you though?
Yeah. Like, let me put like an $800 package for you with like 10, 15 images or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
What's that to them? Nothing, dude. That's literally that's like the price of one of their backpacks, bro. Like, it's nothing. You know what I mean? And they do the same thing. Same thing. Just removed. See ya.
Moving on.
Okay.
But what's funny is that's because there's a lot of people that tolerate it. They get so excited that this company used your photo. Like, this big name person used my photo. Now I have notoriety. Like, unfortunately, until you're talking to the market director, and even then, it's probably the brand manager that you want to get to, because they're going to be the real one that gets the authority to give you money. You're like, until you're talking directly with them and they're talking in terms of deliverables and timelines, you haven't made it, folks. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but until it's like, we'll pay you. What kind of timeline could you get this done? This is what we were thinking. This is kind of, until you're there, like, you're not there. All these companies will take your work for free to market themselves. That is just what they do. That's part of their scheme. These big dogs, they get away with it all the freaking time
because of exactly what we just said, right? People go goo goo gaga because, it's this brand. It's a well-known brand. They've got X amount of followers, whatever it is, right? They go goo goo gaga over it. They get lost in the sauce. And then what do they get out of it? Jack shit. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely not. Like the Miller Lite thing, right? Like, my demographic and what they're trying to push isn't necessarily my demographic, right? Like if you go on Miller Lite's Instagram and you look at their grid, right? They're not pushing like super outdoorsy shit. They're not pushing, firearms and off-roading and hunting and fishing and all these things. They're not pushing that. So if I were to give you that photo for free, in return, you shout me out, you tag me, whatever, what's going to come of that? Absolutely nothing, because the demographic that's following you sure ain't following me, and nor do they want to, right? So it's just, you got to look at it through that lens. Like, how is this going to work out for me? Is it going to be, does it have upside? Does it not have upside? It's like, more times than not, it's not going to have upside. And like, as you touched earlier, people tolerate it, right? And they're not, and they may not understand this now, but it's like, you're fucking you over, and you're fucking all of us over when you go, okay, here's my photo, here's a video I did, have it. Just please tag me, like, as a desperate puppy dog. Like, you're fucking yourself over, you're fucking all of us over. If you could just put your foot in the ground, put your big boy pants on, like, no, actually, again, like that little dialogue I played back with you. Love to make a package for you. We can work out a deal here, and then you could have the rights to these images, whatever it is, right? If people would do that, a lot more people would be getting paid. A lot more people would be getting paid.
Yeah, I was going to say, spoiler alert, if 30% of you even that have experienced this would be like, hey, don't use my work unless, or hey, I love that you use my work going forward. How about this is what I'm doing? 30%
Yep.
of you did that, the marketing landscape would change and they would budget anticipating that people are going to hit them up and ask them to pay.
Yep.
I had, I
Yep.
forgot about this, but I had, until you said that about Miller Lite, I had experience with Coors Light one time where they liked something I did or shared
Yeah.
something I
Yeah.
did, and they like did the Coors Light photo of the day thing or whatever. Just for like during football season a couple years ago, and I didn't do the like I'll put a package together for you. I did the like, hey, appreciate you sharing my work. Going forward, if you guys have any needs, like please feel free to hit me up. I could create more stuff like this if there's any interest.
Yeah.
I have some really cool ideas. If you ever have time, I'd like to share them with you. Some ways we could do that. Crickets. I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
delete my
Oh, yeah.
stuff. They didn't delete
Yeah.
the post that they used, but crickets. It's like, you assholes. I know you
Yeah.
read that. I know
Yeah.
you saw it. You're just
Yeah,
oh,
and
okay.
again, like you said, like you haven't made it unless you're talking to a brand manager or some kind of a director or some sort, right? Like that person I DM, that person you DM was some probably like 22
Me or
year old.
you. Me or
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 or one of us, right? Like some
Yeah.
social media manager who is just trying to get through the day, dude, and they don't have any clout, when it comes to that kind of stuff. All they can really do if they really do like you or really think you could benefit the brand, all they're going to do is forward your shit over. That's probably going to get lost in an email to the next person in the command.
Yeah.
So it is tough, man. And so if you're doing that cold calling stuff, which again works, you're going to take a lot of L's, you're going to take a lot of no's, you're going to get a lot of maybes, and then you're going to get a couple yeses here and there. Man, there was times where I was DMing like 200 brands a day, and then
Wow.
I'd get, but then I'd get like one or two maybes, three maybes, or whatever it is. But again, putting in the work, dude. Like I wanted it really bad, and I was sending messages literally just left and right all day, every day for months, until I felt like
Yeah,
I got
dude,
to a
and you
place where I'm like,
killed it
okay,
too.
like I can. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. But again, nothing fell in my lap. It's been a grind ever since I made the decision to do what I do now, and it's always going to be a grind. Do I have people that help me out now? Yes, because again, I've realized that for me to grow, it's going to take a team. You know what I mean? Like I've realized last year, I hit a wall last year where like my work is going to start dramatically decreasing. Like the skill, or not the skill, um, the quality of my content and the quality of how I do business is going to drastically decrease, and therefore going to hurt me in the long run if I don't start bringing people in. So I'll take a hit financially a little bit, and but that will allow me to grow. You know what I mean? And then I can
Yeah.
make that money up later on. Because again, if I bring more people in, that means we can get more business, and then everybody wins. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I realized that last year where I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna burn out, and then I'm gonna start really fucking myself over and fucking other brands over because I'm not giving it my best because I'm a one man show at the time. There's only so much one man can do when you're trying to balance, 8, 10, 12 different brands. It gets to be a lot, and there's expectations to hit and there's goals to hit. And, I just hit that point where it's like, all right, I'll make it work. I'll
Yeah.
get people I'll bring people in to help lighten the load. And again, while simultaneously, helping us grow.
Yeah, I mean another thing too. It's funny, like that to help people grow their reputation or whatever their portfolio. Like, stop looking at it as you versus these other content creators. You guys are actually in no way, shape, or form competing with each other.
Hundred percent, dude.
Most of the brands that you really want utilize all the big people that you think they use or that they
Yeah.
use, and
Yeah.
25 other little people, and then I'm going to hit this
Yeah.
guy. They constantly have to sample new material anyway,
Yeah.
so that they can try
Yeah.
to figure out going forward how to keep the brand fresh. You're never
Yeah.
going to be the one asset that sticks. I'm
Nope.
sorry, you're not.
Nope.
You
Nope.
might have a long run for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, but eventually
Yeah.
you're old news and it's time to bring in some kind of new face or
Yeah.
new,
Yeah.
not to mention the
And
creative director changes a lot, right?
yeah,
Like,
oh,
oh my
absolutely. And then they've
gosh.
got their guys that they want to work
Yeah.
with. You know what I mean? And again, you know, you got to pivot. You got to pivot. But no, that's. I'm really glad you said that because I did want to make mention of that. Is that we there's so much there's plenty of food for everyone to eat. You know, there's so much food out there for everyone to eat where you don't have to be a gatekeeper. You don't have to, you know, not work well with others. It's okay to tell people what you do. You know, like I'm an open book. When anyone approaches me about how I did this or how I did that or what should I do here, I will always be super transparent with people because when I was starting and there was a lot of people that I looked up to, I had dealt with a lot of fucking gatekeepers, dude, a lot of gatekeepers. And it was so frustrating. So I ended up making, and again, we're all going to make mistakes and hopefully we all learn from it. But I made so many unnecessary mistakes where if someone was like, hey, don't do that, do this instead. I'd be like, okay, great. You know, and like that, I diverted that, you know what I mean? So much gatekeeping early in the early days of what, you know, I'm doing now. And again, like I said, there's plenty of food out there for everyone to eat. Like we can all eat at the table. We can all win. We can all work with the same brands that we all want to work with.
Yeah.
And like you said, like these brands, like they've got so many different creators that they work with because everyone may have similar vibes, but everyone has like a different
Yep.
flavor, if you will. And everyone, whether you like it or not, like everyone has a certain style. You know what I mean? Like I know my friends where I'll see one of their photos pop up on a brand. I don't even have to look. I don't even have to look whose photo it is or whose video. I'm like, oh, that's Travis's or
Yeah.
that's Jenna's or whatever, right? Like I already know because everyone's got their own style, which is great. Uh, and brands will obviously, in some brands will really gravitate towards that style, but that doesn't mean you're the only one. You know, you're not the only cook in the kitchen, dude. There's a lot of other people that they rely on for content, and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah. Another thing is like a mistake I made early, just because it's easy to be. I mean, we're all humans, right? I'm not making excuses. I've been a shitbag and I've made poor choices plenty of times. But a mistake that people need to stop is like, don't undercut or try to steal clients from people. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Like, please listen to that again. Quit trying to steal work. The person that you're trying to, like, you think like, oh, I know this guy. I know if he's doing work for him, and I know my work's at his level. So if maybe I hit him up too, I can slide that from him. That person could have been your next resource. For all you know, that
Mm-hmm.
person knows that you have the same style or you're stylistically close. And he might be like, hey, I'm busy as fuck. Can you do me a solid? And I'll pay you for that, like, because
Yeah.
you're
Oh
close.
yeah.
Or maybe if you reach out to him with like, hey man, I love your work. These are some of my photos. Like if, you know, here's a freebie for somebody. You just said that you sub stuff because you're busy and you're trying to capture more.
Mm-hmm.
Send Spencer a message with a portfolio. Here's a couple of my photos that, or whatever, that meet what you're doing. If I can ever be of service to you or help you out,
Yeah.
bro, here you go. Like, please let me know.
Absolutely, dude.
You never know when you might have that
Yeah.
day where you were like, oh shit, I need to take a picture of this, and you know that guy has this company
Yeah.
stuff sitting in his closet, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'll give you $500 to go do this.
Yeah.
And to some of
Yeah.
these guys, that's like, what? You know,
Yeah.
500
Exactly.
bucks?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah,
start.
dude. Yeah. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
So you got to
You know,
stop cutting each other's throats, man.
yeah,
Stop.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, fun story. Again, through Instagram, I followed. We were mutual follows. A guy named Travis Warren, really solid dude. You know, military photographer. He and I like same kind of pathways. Where we're just like, hey, dude, like we're learning on the fly. We're learning by fire here. No, we never had any like official marketing or photography or content background. We just had the eye and just, again, learned by fire. And he reached out to me, again, really amazing photographer, does a lot of tactical stuff. And he reached out. He's like, hey, man, I work with this company. And they reached out. I'm a retainer with them. I do photography for them. But they reached out and they want me to start doing video work. I'm not comfortable doing video work, but I always have loved your video work. And he sent me a reel. He's like, hey, dude, watch this reel and let me know if you think you could do something like this. And I watched it and I was like, oh shit, like, I mean, this is pretty tight. Like, I think I could get close to something like this. He's like, dope, dude, like, let's collab on this project together. And it was a huge project. And long story short, it's a really great brand, really awesome people behind the brand on the insides of it. And now he and I have been working with that same brand congruently, and just like he and I just collab these projects with this brand together. Like he does the photography, I do the video, and it's like this perfect little marriage right now. And again, like nobody's undercutting anybody. You know, game recognizing game. Like, hey, dude, like I love your photography. Hey, dude, I love your video. Like, let's figure out a way to work together here with this brand or maybe other brands down the road. And you say the number that you want, and I'll say the number that I want, and then we'll come up with a proposal, and we'll get a green light, hopefully, and that's how it works, and it doesn't work that way with everybody, but he and I have this really good mutual understanding. It's like, hey, you and I will stay in our lanes together. We'll both win literally together. And we'll just start taking over the world like that. You know what I mean? So, it's been really, really cool to do stuff like that. And I really challenge people to do something like, somewhere in that same vein where, hey, like start collabing with other creators. Again, everybody can eat, like you both can still collaborate on a project. You both can still do great work together and get paid. And just, collaborate, dude. Like we're all in the same community together. We don't have to bite each other's backs. We don't have to stab any in the back. We can work together on certain projects. And again, we will all win in the long run.
Yeah, for sure, dude. That's a solid point, man. And I think it just goes to show like somebody else's weakness or strength could be your weakness, or somebody else's weakness might be your strength, but together you guys could be ironclad. And then, where neither of you would have got the job because neither of you can do everything they need. You can come up with a number. You pitch some wildfire number like, oh, $3,000 sometime or something to somebody, and they're like, done. But then you're like, dude, that's 3x what I would have made doing the photo package.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just never know. And what you don't realize is if you wanted to come up with it, they wouldn't have gave you the job. They'll find somebody that could do the whole package for them at once. So it's like in the ever-evolving media world, not to beat a dead horse, you got to skate, man. You got to be on rollerblades and be fluid, honestly.
Absolutely.
You got to be Tony Hawk. Got to be Tony Hawk. Listen, dude, I respect for your time. I want to kind of wrap this up a little bit here, but before we go, we typically try to we've been answering questions this whole time, but I have a couple of the show staple questions for you.
Sure.
And just because I'm curious what your mindset is on that today, but I got to give you the show, like the grand question of the show, the staple. Right?
Oh God. I got to answer something on the fly here. Oh, great.
Yep. I didn't prep you, but what is a barbarian to you?
Oh man, a barbarian to me is somebody who has grit, somebody who does not take no for an answer, and somebody who's willing to fail but is willing to get back up and dust themselves off and just get after it, dude. Like you don't have to be the best in the room, but if you can be one of the hardest working guys and the ones who just don't know how to quit, I think you're going to go far.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And it is a barbarian, right? It's that unruly, that grotesque, that just you can't kill me, do whatever it takes mentality and grit, really, is like you said, the fortitude. That being said, what's a piece of advice you would give somebody just getting started? Like, and when I say that, that's a broad thing, right? So let me narrow in a little bit. Like, when I mean just getting started is like if somebody is 25 years old, they're not savvy with their life. They know that like they have this passion for media. They have this camera. They know they got talent. Like, you have to be honest, folks. Do you or do you not? And they want to do something with it. What's a piece of advice you'd give them that nobody gave you?
Oh man, piece of advice that I'd give them that nobody gave me. Man, I'll answer it this way. You've got the camera, you've got the passion for it, you don't know where to start. just start shooting shit, dude. Like literally go out, start taking photos, start figuring out what you're like you should know that camera like you know your significant other. Like you need to know the ins and outs of everything, how it works, what it does when in this type of lighting. When I crank on this knob, what does that do? You know, like
Yes.
and man, again, I look at old photos like how the hell did I like? Why did I take this photo? Why did I think this was a good photo? But I would do something along those lines where like fuck getting paid, fuck working with big brands for the moment, like just learn the craft, get obsessed with the craft. Just go out and just start shooting objects, landscapes. You know, go grab a coffee cup, and start getting creative. Like literally, just let it go, make all the mistakes, and just start figuring out, click by click of what it is that you can do with the camera and what you want to do with the camera. I think that would be a good starting point for somebody who just doesn't know where to take their first step.
No, that's incredible advice, dude. You're right. It's just get out there and make the mistakes, get them out of the way. Like play with the dials, screw up all your different your aperture, your focus.
Yeah.
Start doing that. And
dude, it took me forever to figure out what did what, dude. Like I'm like, why is my photo so grainy? Like what is that, dude? You know, like it took me like why is it so like why is it so washed out? Like why can't I see any color in this? You know, or like why is it so dark? Or like why is it like the background's really blurry in this one but not in that one? You know, like it took me so long to do that. But then I eventually just went down, YouTube University and like again like figure out what this, that, and the other does, and again also putting boots on the ground and using my camera and figuring shit out on my own, and a nice little hybrid combination of those two things. And then I started to, again, click by click, starting to figure out, okay, well, at this time of day, these should be my settings roughly, or, and when I'm shooting this type of a subject, okay, my settings should be roughly, in this ballpark, So,
yes.
Again, like go out and make the fucking mistakes, dude. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Dude, and take your damn camera off of auto. Like,
yes.
Put it in manual.
Yes.
Like, just get it over with.
Yeah.
It sucks. We all at one point had to play with manual. It takes forever to take this one picture of a Mountain Dew can. Who cares? Like, eventually it gets fast. You get these settings. And then what do you think about this? Here's a hack for somebody. Find a spot outdoors for you guys that are doing content, say for like a brand, not just, what would you call that? What am I looking for here? Like, not necessarily where you're in action or it's candid, but like an item, like
like product photography.
Product. Thank you. My brain was like drained. I was like, why can't I say the word? No, but
it's
like
a thing
product
that you put there.
Yeah, it's like go out, find yourself a place that in the brightest of the bright day you could take a good photo, and then additionally find yourself a place that in the gloomiest of gloomy days you could take a photo, and consistently, so that you have this spot where you could Rolodex like product, and boom, 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 insert any product, because half of the people are literally making a decision on you based off, regardless of what the product is. It's everything that goes into this one frame. So does it got texture?
Yeah.
It does it got rich, cool, contrasting colors? What's the vibe? Is it fall? Is it moody?
Yeah.
Like for
what's
me,
the lighting like? Yeah.
And if you can nail like this one spot where you insert any product and the textures are always there, or the thing, like money, because people are going to want that. They're going to be like, hey, can you put my gum in that photo? And you're like, sure, I can do this exact photo with your gum.
And I'm gonna say something. We'll finish with this. It'll be maybe an unpopular opinion amongst creators, or photographers and videographers. But I'm gonna say it because this is what I truly believe. A lot of people will die on this hill where it's like, hey, this is your style. This is the way you edit. Like this is like everyone has to find their colors. Like whatever. Like the way you edit. Like that's your style. Don't ever edit anywhere. Like anything else. Like, don't switch from this way of editing, like the colors and, and the presets and all this kind of stuff. Like, make sure it's this way all the time so everything looks the same. I say bullshit, because if you edit different ways here and there, like maybe, hey, this one's like very natural looking, there's, the colors are popping, or like, hey, maybe this one's a little bit more moody, a little more dark, again, like, or you find somewhere in between where things are a little bit muted or whatever. Edit the way you feel in that moment. Again, if it's for a client, completely different, because they're obviously looking for a certain look. But if you're just doing it to just do it, I think that's okay, because a company could see your portfolio and be like, hey, that image, the way you edit it that way, that's the way we want it. Okay, great. Because if I had all my other photos edited a completely different way, they may go, man, we don't really like the style. Unbeknownst to them, you can go in any direction you wanted. You want to, really. So that's my hot seat take. Like, honestly, like, it's okay to go different directions with different images. You don't have to always paint yourself in this box in the same color scheme or the same way of editing. Like, it's okay to mix things up, because you never know. You really never know.
Yeah, I would also say you brought up a really good point there that made me just think, like, you also, one, it makes you more versatile to understand or to be able to go uncomfortably. But two, how many times does that actually happen to you? Because I could tell you, for me, I've literally had people take screenshots and then like insert them in a message and be like, I like this
Yep.
photo, this photo, this photo, this
Yep.
photo. Can you put together a package of these styles for me?
Yep.
And it's like,
Yep.
sure, no problem. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, 100%, dude. I couldn't give you an answer, dude. I literally do not know how many times that's happened, dude. It's happened so many times where it's like I get a barrage of images that I've taken, or again, like you said, like screenshots. Like, hey, we love this vibe. This is what we're going for. Okay, cool.
yeah.
So have some flexibility, have some utility to yourself. Some versatility is super huge. In, again, my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it right there, dude. Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for your time. It was cool to catch up with you. Thanks for shooting a shit with me on media. I always love talking media. I might say I hate social media, and I do. As I'm saying this, I'm speaking on a platform where we're reaching people that share on social media. But I do got a love for the creative. Like, I will always have some part of me. I love people's work, and I respect their work. And, man, I respect your journey more than anything,
Thank you.
Honestly, I've watched you go, and your stuff didn't used to be for me, but I've seen you persevere, like you talked about in the beginning. And I think, like, more than anything, I respect a dude that can hustle and that gets it done and that doesn't quit. And, like, not that it means anything in particular, but I just want you to know I respect the journey, bro. It's been really, really cool to see. So,
well, I really, really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, dude. And thank you for having me on this pod. This has been a lot of fun. And like you, man, I really do just love learning from other creatives, like picking brains and like, oh, wow, I never really thought about it that way. Shit. Okay, great. So this has been a blast, man. So thank you for having me.
And I want to leave you with one piece for you. And I know you probably know this, but I just want to capitalize on something for you, because you're kind of dipping in a lane that I dabble in and people don't know anymore, with some of your firearms and knife. Create an emotion. What I've found, and you're doing this, I'm sure you're like, Here, for our audience, I don't even know if I should say this, but if you can create a photo, especially in a video world, that creates an emotion for somebody, that makes them pause for even a second and be like, dude, that's dope. Check out those textures. If you could create an emotion, and that's with using hands in a photo, or like create an emotion, and you'll make a memory that people will know you by for that one thing. And your work is at that level now. So I just want to encourage you, like, create emotion and don't let anybody take it from you, because it's been cool to see you grow. And I think, like, take that for what it is, especially with one of the clients that knife related that we're talking about. And I think you could really generate a lot, even more work with that, because you're already.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So, Barbarians, Spencer Kirksey, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you guys for tuning in to another show. Be sure to support him. Talk about where they can find you really quick, and Invicta Coffee as
Sure.
well.
Yeah, so we didn't get
Please.
into it, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine. Wasn't planning on it, but yeah, I do have a little side project called Invicta Coffee Co. So you can find us at Invicta Coffee. Fun little creative project I have. If I'm not busy enough already, right? Something else to do. But it's all the business related stuff is at Nomadic Media. And you can find me there. And again, I'm an open book. If anybody listening would like me to elaborate on anything else or have questions about anything else related that we talked about, please feel free to shoot me a DM.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I have some video stuff, I'll probably talk to you offline. I'm going to hit you with it because I
Cool.
have some things. I try to pass on that. It's not my lane, so.
Cool.
Not my lane. Anyway, enjoy. Thanks for recording. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you on the next one.